What's up, you guys? I'm Simone.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Up on Game. So today's episode, we'll be talking about the benefits of being a student athlete, okay? But before we get into the episode, okay, we're just letting you guys know that after this episode, we'll have one more episode, and then we're going to take a little break from the episodes just to get, our merchandise out there, to get our websites up and going, okay? And get gear to you guys and things like that.
Sir.
But we'll still be posting content on the page. So, stay tuned in. We'll just take a little break from the episodes, okay? So, with that being said, back to the episode, okay? The episode is called Benefits of Being a Student Athlete, okay? And we're going to talk about some things like you'll be able to travel to different places and experience new things, experience new people, the connections you may make as far as friendships, business-wise. We'll talk about, just being fit, being in shape, your body being healthy, you being healthy. We'll talk about the skills that you learn, which is very, very important. The skills that you learn that, you may not, some people think of sports and like, oh, you're learning just how to play defense, you're learning how to throw the football, you're learning how to hit the baseball. But there's a lot of, underlying characteristics that you pick up from being a student athlete. And we're going to talk about how you learn a lot about yourself as well, being a student athlete. Okay, so those are all the topics we're going to try to talk about today and, share with you guys. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the travel, okay? So as a student athlete on every level, travel ball, high school, college, you travel a lot, okay? You go to a lot of different places, you experience a lot of different things, and I know me personally, I wouldn't have been able to experience those things without basketball. So just for example, I've been to places like Rome, Paris, a lot of different places. The Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. We went to Europe and did a whole tour. I can't remember all the names of the places right now. I've been to a lot of states, over 20 states in, America, just based off playing basketball, going. And then even when you, like when we went to Europe, we wasn't just there to play basketball.
It was like a tour?
Yeah, we saw the Mona Lisa. We saw the Sistine Chapel. We saw, a lot of the Coliseum. We saw a lot of different things that, it wasn't just a basketball trip. It was for us to experience new things as well. So just from if I was not a student athlete, I would not have gotten to experience that, especially at the age and, at the time of my life that I did. What are some of the places that you traveled?
Well, one of the places we traveled to was Hawaii. We was out there for 10 days, and it was pretty cool. The flight was 5 hours. Flew over the ocean majority of the way, but it was real cool. We played 3 games out there, and we also went to the Dole Pineapple Plantation, some of the best pineapple ice cream and juice. We went to a luau. We kind of got to experience a little bit of everything out there, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah, and those experiences like that is something you'll carry for a lifetime. Some of that stuff is like once in a lifetime type stuff.
Right.
So, being a student athlete, you get to do those type of things.
The perks.
The next thing we're going to talk about is the skills you learn. Like when I was doing the introduction, those underlying characteristics that you learn from being a student athlete, and Simone's going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so some of those skills and characteristics you will learn is like things you will always have in your life. So like, for example, in practice or any athletics, you learn to be on time, you learn to always give your best, and you always learn to be accountable. And those are some of the 3 things that you need in your everyday life. Like, for example, when a person wakes up and gets ready for work, first they gotta be on time. When they go to work, they gotta give it their best. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. And then last is hold their co-workers accountable, and as well as holding themselves accountable and getting the job done. And I feel like sports teaches you that without saying be on time, saying stuff.
Without actually saying it.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody actually saying, your coaches say like be on time, but it's something you learn to do through your actions.
Right, like for example, like if you just had a hard practice in the gym and then you have to walk into the weight room, first of all, you're tired, you're whooped, and then it's like you really don't want to be there, but at the end of the day, you're trying to get better, so you got to give it 110%, like you didn't practice at all, okay? And then you got to hold your teammates accountable, make sure they're doing every rep right, everything. So it's like it all ties in.
Yeah. And some other skills, just personally, is like, respect. You learn how to respect people, even if, like, you think their opinion is wrong. Like, for instance, if a coach is telling you something and you feel like what they're telling you is not right or is not, the same idea as you have to learn to respect what they're saying, but just and express yourself in a way that's respectful to them. So you're not going to say, like, go off on your coach, but you're going to let your coach speak, let your coach finish speaking, and then speak in a way that's respectful back to them. And I think that's important in work life. Like, you're going to have disagreements.
Especially with your boss and
with
co-workers.
Bosses, co-workers, anybody, and you have to know how to handle yourself without, everything doesn't have to, be like a fight.
Right.
Especially when you're trying to keep a job.
Right.
Another thing is leadership. I think that's a big one I learned. Just being a point guard, leadership is very important. You basically have to run a team. And
right.
I was kind of forced into the point guard role just because of my size in general. Like if you're the smallest one on the team, you're a point guard. So just all my life I've been a point guard, but really in college is where I learned like leadership for real. Like talking. I had to make sure where everybody was. If one person wasn't in their spot, I was getting chewed out for it. Mm-hmm. So I don't get chewed out. I'm on your head, so you won't, so you won't mess up. I have to make sure everybody knows where to be. I have to know the plays to run. It's so much thinking that goes into it that people that's watching, they don't even realize
how much is behind the scenes.
Yeah, that I have 5 plays in my head that I know to run in this game. And I know, like, oh, such and such just scored, so let's run this play again. Or let's run a different play to get her a basket. So it's a lot of thinking, a lot of, like, evaluating in your head, and it's, like, really fast-paced. Because basketball, unlike, like football, you can't stop between each play. It's not like stop, everybody huddle up, let's talk about it. No, it's like we're like this. And you have to think, even if you're not a point guard, you still are required to think on the fly.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's like working under pressure situations. And I think that helps you, like we said before, in life.
Another one I feel is being humble, because when you're a college athlete, even though it's like we work out hard and do all this extra stuff, there's times where sometimes practice may be cut short and then you have to go and participate in community service activities. Like, that's why I like at Dominguez Hills, we participate in a lot of community service activities. Mm-hmm. There were plenty of times where we volunteered at the LA Food Bank. There were times where we went to elementary schools in the inner cities and we planted gardens. We helped fix up their playgrounds. It's just little stuff like that, like, helps you appreciate life and appreciate the things you have. And then it's like it gives you that feeling like, oh, like you could really make a difference.
Right. And just two more characteristics. It's our perseverance and discipline. Okay. So perseverance, like in college especially, oh my God, you go through so many, we talked about this in other episodes, ups and downs. So being able to push through adversity, be able not run away from adversity. Mm-hmm. Like in our program, the school I went to, we always talked about, facing your issue.
Yeah.
Like if you had a bad game, don't run away from the gym. You need to be in the gym every day, working out. You need to be there early, whatever. We always was like facing issues instead of running away from them. And I appreciate those lessons that I learned. Also, discipline is, like we said before, like getting up, being on time,
following your diet.
Following your diet, working out when you're supposed to work out, doing the things you need to do to balance, all the things that come with your sport and school. So those are just a couple characteristics. We just touched on some. It's a lot more characteristics that you learn while being a student athlete. Okay, you guys. All right, it's time for us to go to our water break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with some more stuff.
Hey, you guys, so we're back from our water break, and now we're in the part 2. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with part 2 by saying that one of the best benefits of being a student athlete is that you are fit. Yes, I said it. You're fit. Like this is gonna be the best time of your life where you feel like your body is at its best, like muscle wise, physically, and I feel like you're gonna feel the best because that's when you're the most active. Okay, and like I can speak from my experiences when I entered college. And I started out one way, and then I had to adjust to intense practices, my appetite increasing, balancing what I can and cannot eat, learning more lifts, more techniques to help my body become stronger, help me get faster, and just keeping my athletic frame. Okay.
Right. And just being just us not playing anymore, it's just you can tell the difference of of when you were a student athlete, or an athlete, because we played since we were little, so our whole life was consisted of working out every day, doing something sports related every day, and to not play anymore, and then you're like, it's just different, You can tell the difference from, like how you were when you were always working out every day to like when you have more freedom to just live life like a normal person.
But when we still lift though, it's like we could still do those lifts we did in college, but
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's different. Like when you sit back and realize like you don't have to work out for anything anymore. Right. It's just different. Like it's just a different perspective on things now.
Right.
Okay, so now the next thing we're going to talk about is your experience. Experiencing new people. Okay, so especially when you go off to college, you get to experience and play with people from different backgrounds. Okay, you get to because when you're at home, you play with the people like in your area. You go to school in a certain area and you play with the girls or the boys in your area. Mm-hmm. Okay, but when you go off to college, even if you go to a local college, it's girls from different or boys from different areas, and you get to experience their cultures, their backgrounds, and it's kind of interesting to kind of mesh with different people. Yeah. And it's kind of like you're kind of forced to because you're on a team. Especially when you're on a smaller team. Some sports have larger teams where it's not you don't really have to bond with all your teammates like football. Like those bigger teams, you don't really have to bond with every single one of your teammates. Right. But like smaller sports, more intimate sports, like basketball, maybe softball, things like that when it's like 12 or, 15 people on a team or whatever, you have to, it's kind of like you're close-knit. Yeah. So I think that was a cool experience just going to college and being around girls that, with different backgrounds than me and learning their cultures and learning their, different religions, different ways they grew up. We always talked about different things, and I'm like, wow, like some people grew up so different than I did, and others grew up the same way. It was just fun. We used to, joke with each other about it and just compare our different, upbringings and backgrounds and different things like that. So I think that was so cool, just experience that and just. The fact that I was a student athlete, I was given that opportunity to go to college and do that. And who knows, if I didn't play the sport, I probably would have never got to experience people from different areas like that. And I think that's super cool.
Right.
The next thing we're going to talk about, Simone is going to talk about the connections you make from being a student athlete. So whether that's business connections with alumni, teachers, players, friendships, coaches, all that stuff, all those connections.
Connections are very important in life. You know that saying, it's not what you know, but who you know? Let me tell you, that statement is real. Like, of course you gotta know your stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't hurt to get that extra step in knowing people in those areas where you want to be in life. Because, if you know people, that could help you get an internship, jobs, or even just build friendships, work friendships, anything. Like it just expands your web. Because remember, as a student athlete, you already have this image. It should be not a perfect image, but a good enough image to where someone will want to help you and want to help you succeed in that next step in life, because they notice for 4 years you done sacrifice your body, your time, and put in your academic effort. So if you're doing all those things, people are going to want to help you. Right. And For my
What about like friendships?
friendship, it's different because these friendships are going to be more intimate because these people you've been around for the past 4 or 5 years have seen you grow as a person, you know, and kind of just when you grow, and then those friends during that certain time period will be always be your friends for a lifetime. Like, I have friends now that I've played with, and like I speak to them every now and then because we're all so busy. But if we was to meet up for lunch or dinner or something, we talking like how we was when we was on the team.
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
like a
different
bond
energy.
that's unbreakable
Yeah.
because it's like we said in prior episodes, you go through things with these teammates. Like you're at your lows, you're tired,
All the crying.
and you gotta look to the those practices when you're just dead tired. You look to the side and you see your other teammate dead tired. We all dead tired, but we gotta push through. That forms a bond. You know what I'm saying? Like when somebody's like been down and out with you, you sit and have conversations with people like about life. You trusted in people. Like when you have teammates, you gotta trust in your teammate. When I go out on the court with you, I trust you. I trust that if I pass you the ball, I just trust you. I trust in your abilities. I trust that you're a good player. That's how teammates go. And when you trust in somebody, and especially somebody's there for 4 years with you, that's a bond for most
Sisterhood.
people. Yeah, that lasts a lifetime. And even if you guys are on separate parts of the country, when you get back together, most of the time it's that old vibe comes back,
Right.
and it's like old times again. I know that's real because every year, my teammates, my teammates from Michigan and I, we get together once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we right back where we left off. It's
Right.
no like fall off, So that's one of the great things as far as connections that you get as well.
And then also being an alumni is like one of the great connections as well. Just going back for like 2 or 3 games, homecoming or senior night, just seeing the girls that were freshmen when I was senior, and just to see them grow, that's an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
Because it kind of reminds you, that was me at one point.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're part of this circle to where you're gonna encourage and cheer on the teams that come after you and support. So that's the best.
Yeah, that's true. And you feel connected to your school. Like, I'm from LA, obviously, and I went to Michigan, and I'm, obviously graduating, whatever. But when I watched Michigan play like Ohio State or something, I feel like a kind of hate for them. And I didn't grow up in Michigan to know, to be raised in it. But just me going there for 4 years, you pick up the rivalries, you pick up, the Michigan way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's cool too, and that's a way you stay connected as well.
Yeah.
Also, the final benefit we have of being a student athlete is you gain confidence.
Yes.
I think it's very, very important, especially growing up as a young person, to have a lot of confidence in yourself. I think people don't really realize that when you're a student athlete, you have to go out and kind of entertain. That's what you are, kind of
Put yourself out there.
Yeah, you're kind of an entertainer. You go out there and you play in front of a crowd, and the crowd wants to be, you have to, that's why people do nice moves and people get dunked on and people hit home runs. It's entertaining to the crowd.
Yeah.
So for you to go out there and put yourself out there every game in front of a lot of people, that builds your confidence, that builds your, that makes you think highly of yourself. Your self-esteem is high. And I think from doing that from the time that you're little to when you're an adult, that's a lot of confidence that's built inside of you just from playing a sport. And you may not even realize it. The fact that you go out there every game and play every game, that builds your confidence.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys,
That's
that wraps up our last topic for this episode. Hope you guys enjoy. Stay tuned.
Share, post, like, give us feedback too.
All right, that's it for Up on Game.